Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. It's me. Guys, today we're gonna see the difference. What is the difference between these two martial arts? One is called the Japanese art called Aikido, and the other one the Korean martial art called Hapkido. So right, guys, I wrote down here some information here. Alright, sorry for that. Alright, so Aikido, the founder was Morihei Ueshiba. Aikido has its roots in different styles of jiu-jitsu, like Daito Ryu, Aiku Jiu-Jitsu, all right? Aikido used joint locks and throws, like from jiu-jitsu, and combined with body movements. Hapkido, on the other hand, is a Korean martial art created by Choi Jong-so. All right, guys. What happened that when Choi Jong-so he moved to Japan with his parents when he was 8 years old, and then he studied in Japan with Takeda Sokaku, and he studied also Jiu-Jitsu and Daito Ryu Aiku Jiu-Jitsu. But there's a similarity here because both martial arts are, as I can see, he said here that is rooted in Jiu-Jitsu. All right, guys. Well, let's now go ahead and check how these two. Let's check on these two martial arts in a deeper explanation, in a deeper concept. All right, I want to see this because I've always been thinking, what is the difference between Aikido and Hapkido? Okay, even the names sound very similar. All right, let's go ahead and check. All right, you ready? All right, one moment, please. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. Now, 1, 2, 3.
Hapkido versus Aikido.
There you go.
I'm not nearly the first person to discuss this topic, and I've never officially studied Aikido, but figured I would make a video and lay out a few of the things I've learned and come across over my years of training in Hapkido. First, where did these arts come from? Both of them have a common root of the art of Daitoryu Aiki Jujutsu, which creators of both arts at some point learned from Japanese instructor Takeda Sokaku, a famous teacher of that art. Ueshiba Morihei, the founder of Aikido, was believed to have spent a few years with Takeda in the early 1900s before eventually going on his own to teach Daitoryu for some time. He eventually developed more and more on his own with other influences to create modern Aikido. The credited founder of Hapkido, Choi Jong-sul, is believed to have been sent to Japan as a child to work as a servant. He was placed in the home of Takeda, where he spent many years, and eventually began learning Daitoryu from him before returning to Korea later in his life. Some believe he was actually adopted by Takeda, but the history is commonly disputed. Like Ueshiba, he used this foundation of techniques to help develop his own style, later to be named Hapkido. Both arts actually share the same name.
Oh, harmony.
They don't sound identical because that name is translated into Japanese.
Oh, well, see, I see now.
But if you take a look at the original writing, you'll see that the Japanese kanji characters and Korean hanja characters both are the same, as both languages' original writing systems stem from the same Chinese script, spell out the same thing, pronounced in Chinese Hechida. It is just pronounced differently since, again, it is translated into each respective language. The meaning in English is the way of harmonized or coordinated energy. Because of their shared roots, Aikido and Hapkido inevitably share some core principles, mainly with what we call soft style movements, like circles and redirection of energy, as opposed to resisting attacks directly. The practitioner is trained to flow with attacks from the opposition, and the idea is diffusing a situation without harming any parties involved. Both arts practice meditation and breathing techniques as well, with inner peace being a vital goal of students of the arts. With those similarities in mind, these arts can also and are commonly viewed as critically different in modern times. To an outsider, the movements and practices can look the same on the surface, but after splitting from the same root, the arts grew further and further apart. Ueshiba remained in Japan, but was said to have multiple spiritual encounters, which caused him to move the art further from striking and become softer as a result. While Chue returned to Korea, where at the time the arts of Taekwondo and Tangsudo were rapidly growing in popularity. Early developers of Hapkido incorporated knowledge from these arts, creating a hybrid of sorts. So I think the major differences in the two arts today are that Hapkido has generally added more in the kicking department as well as ground grappling, where Aikido has specialized more in standing locks, joint manipulations, and throws. Aikido is said to have become softer over time, while some argue that Hapkido has become more hardstyle, turning joint locks into breaks and adding more strikes when necessary. I believe Hapkido has been implemented more in military training in Korea for that reason. I've heard as well that Hapkido is considered more of a complete art because it covers more broad ground and aspects of martial arts, which I can understand, but I'm personally wary of calling any art complete. None of this is to say that you can't find an Aikido school that practices kicks, or a less intense Hapkido school. I'm not really a fan of talking about martial arts in absolutes, because if there are different schools and different instructors of a given art, then there are different ways to learn it. I would also never claim that one art is better than the other, because that would assume every practitioner has the same physical attributes.
So the difference here, the difference here, I believe is Hapkido. There is some similarities in technique, but also Aikido use strikes and kicks. Unlike Aikido, you don't use that. You use more arm locks like that and throws. I think that's the difference, I think. But let's see a little more.
Goals, same interests, same talents, etc. And that is not the case. This video doesn't serve to compare the arts in that sense, only to speak about their similar roots and the ways they've grown differently over time. As I said, I myself practice Hapkido, and I love it. I like to think of it as a peaceful art, and I'm not a big fan of altercations, and I never plan to be in a fight. For that reason, I respect Aikido, and I have enjoyed the small amount I've learned from it. Hopefully, if you practice either of these arts, or any art for that matter, you can respect the interests and choices of other people. Please leave a comment if you'd like to start or join a conversation on this topic. Thanks for watching.
Let me see if I get this straight. So we have in Aikido, the Japanese are Aikido and Hapkido. All right. I think the difference here is that maybe Aikido is a little more less aggressive. By saying that it's a little less aggressive, it doesn't mean that it's not effective. It's not effective. And in the terms I think of Aikido, I took Aikido back in 2001. For a few months I took Aikido. I didn't stay too long. But I took some lessons of Aikido. And when I remember it was effective. It was pretty good. I learned a lot of cool moves. It was effective. The only thing that I don't remember that using any kicks or strikes. No. What are we were using? Kind of similar to Bunjinkan. We will start the class by doing rolls, by doing front rolls and stuff like that. I remember we got they were starting by running around the dojo, running around, and after running around, everybody start breaking down, rolling, and everybody later will get in position, sit down, do the opening, and then I start practicing with our student. I remember in Aikido, everybody have a designated student. I remember. All right. But also I remember that we will use the katana. I remember there was a time that the sensei will tell me to practice with the katana alone. But then in the case of Hapkido, I haven't tried Hapkido yet. But I see that there is some difference. There is some similar difference and some similarities. In the case of Aikido, they don't use kicking, they don't use striking, but then Hapkido use strikes and kicks. All right, it's more, and then it's like a combination. What I see is like a combination of like Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu. For me, it's like a combination of two arts in one. All right. But however, I believe Aikido is awesome. It's an also awesome martial art move. And Hapkido, I think they're both wonderful. But I think one thing they have in common is you have the roots in Jiu-Jitsu. So Jiu-Jitsu is a wonderful martial art, guys. One of any martial art that have that is rooted in Jiu-Jitsu, for me is a good martial arts in my opinion. Like Bonjinkan, Ninjutsu, like Aikido, and now I know Hapkido. All these martial arts are rooted in Jiu-Jitsu. So if they have Jiu-Jitsu, I believe it's a good start, because Jiu-Jitsu is considered one of the best forms of martial arts also. So guys, it was wonderful to get to see a little more of what it was the difference between Aikido and Hapkido. All right, guys, and also the founders. All right, guys. So guys, please share your thoughts and comments in the section below. I'll see you soon on my next video. Take care.